So welcome everybody to another episode of Chocolate Travels. I'm here with Yoann from Schoki Chocolate in Squamish, BC. So hello, Yoann. Nice to see you.
Hey, Joseph. How are you?
Good, good. So let's get right to it. Let's find out a little bit about you and how you got into this. So what got you into craft chocolate? Did you come across some craft chocolate that you really enjoyed? And what compelled you to actually start a business making chocolate?
Yeah, so I would say like about 6 years ago, I knew pretty much nothing about craft chocolate. And the way it happened, I went back to my hometown close to Geneva and just for vacation. And we went to visit a big factory, a big chocolate factory. And then it was very interesting to see all the process and to see how you turn cocoa bean to chocolates. And when I came back after this short vacation, I was just very interested about it. And I was like, how can we do that on a small scale? And I started to do some research. And this is where I found that there is like a real scene about small chocolate maker making chocolate from the cocoa bean. And
why would you think to make it? Do you like to be in the kitchen? Like
yes, I do like to be in the kitchen, and I think I grew up eating chocolate, and I think I was just very interested about the process and how to make this chocolate, and yeah, I was very curious about if it's possible to make it on a small scale.
Okay.
And this is how I started. And to be a bit more precise, when I started at the very beginning, I just ordered some beans from whatever any origin I found. I suppose I bought the cheapest one because I knew nothing about it. And I thought it was awesome. And I got those beans, and like everybody, I roasted a kilo of bean and started to crack them and to try to remove the shell. And I was like, this is too time consuming. It doesn't work. And I think where I got hooked about that, it's when I started to build my first machine, and I built a winnowing machine right away. And I think I built a winnowing machine before I had my first little grinder.
Wow.
What is kind of funny, yeah. And I think, I was very interested about the whole process, about the machines that you can build, the do-it-yourself, right, to make this chocolate.
That's the biggest hurdle for a lot of people who want to make their own chocolate. It's the winnowing, believe it or not. Something so simple. It's very, very time-consuming, and it's a lot of hassle for people who want to make it.
Yes, it is. And for me, right away, I saw that this was an absolute need right away, because we're not going to peel for an hour a kilo of chocolate. So I started to do a bit of research, and very easy principle to do a winnowing machine. But my first one, I should send you some photos.
Sure.
I built a big box, a wooden box, and I put I did put a Dyson attached to it, and a plate, baking sheet on top of it, was vibrating with a milk frother. So the cocoa beans were moving into a drum, and the drum was the engine of the drum was my KitchenAid. So I'll send you something, and then you can use it if you want. It's pretty cool. But this is how I started, and it started from this visit of this big factory in Switzerland, thinking like, hey, can we do it on a small scale?
Okay.
Not knowing much about chocolate and craft chocolate before that.
How did your perception of chocolate change once you started making it? So, you
Yeah.
saw on the big scale how it's made, you eat chocolate all the time, but when you started making it, what were some things that you realized you weren't aware of, and what are some challenges other than the winnowing you didn't anticipate?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first thing, flavors. I was blown away about the flavors that I was able to make doing this chocolate, and I think this is the first time I was trying chocolate, craft chocolate from our makers, and I was like, wow, this is not my Swiss chocolate that I usually eat with 80% of sugar. Uh, and a lot of flavors coming out of it. And
Because
yeah, I think,
The Swiss usually they like a lot of milk chocolate and gianduja, right? Is that
yes,
usually what they
absolutely.
prefer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
milk and hazelnut, and people really like milk chocolate. Um, Same for me. I still, I'm making single origins, but I'm still like a milk lover,
I
and
think it shows because your milk
that's
chocolate is really, really good. People like it a lot. So I
yeah.
think it
Thank you very
shows.
much. Yeah. So yeah, I was just like when I started to try our maker's chocolates, and to learn a little bit about beans, cocoa beans, and different origins and flavors, and I just found that it was so interesting, and this was very new for me. The whole thing was very new, and I had to learn quick, because you know how it is. You start to make a bit of chocolate, and then you want to make more, and then you're like, wow, but I don't know all those beans, I don't know all those
Mm,
origins, I don't know all those countries.
mm.
And uh and then you start to put your nose in books on internet, and you do some research, and this is where the whole story started. I was just very passionate about it. I
And
was putting a lot of time.
what was the most frustrating other than the winnowing? Not just making the chocolate, but maybe developing your business or selling it. What were some of the biggest
Yeah,
frustrations?
yeah. Well, it, it's a real roller coaster, and right at the beginning, there was a lot of frustration for a lot of their different things. First, when you start a chocolate business, is people don't really talk about it, but you have to bring quite a bit of money in.
Mm.
Without money, there is no way you can make decent chocolate.
Yeah.
All the
It's not
oh,
like making cookies or pies at a local farmer's
yeah,
market. There's a lot more you need to invest just to make
yes,
chocolate for
all the
sure.
equipment is very expensive,
Yeah. The
and
molds
and
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 yeah.
everything, like a small grinder, and you
Yeah.
discover quickly that you need a bigger one, and you always need more. And I find I'm still frustrated, because there is many things that I will need, but I cannot afford. What is fine, but it's very time consuming, and I find this is the most challenging part of making chocolate, is to have this ball rolling, that it's like organic and fluid, and most of the time it's not, because you are good into one side of production but not on the other side, because you're not efficient, but
Mm.
you cannot grow, because that's the way it is.
That's a key point too, because cacao is very expensive. Chocolate's very expensive, packaging very expensive. Like you're, you're not making a loaf of bread. You're making an expensive product with expensive beans that have to be individually wrapped. And so
Absolutely.
efficiency is definitely number one, like you said. Yeah.
Efficiency is number one, and I really learned that hard. You know, I at some point I thought that I will need a little bit of help from someone to help me packing, and this almost put the business under, because just the fact to have a little bit of help who was helping me packing faster costed me so much money in like a tiny bit of labor. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
12 hours a week. And I realized, holy moly, what is key is to be more efficient. So I've been really working on the workflow of my production. And since I worked on this, I'm back to do the production I wanted to do. I forecasted by myself, and now I can do it by myself. And you know, I learned that you just have to let it grow though slowly and steadily, and not being too. You always want the next machine or the bigger thing or
Too
the
ambitious,
thing,
yeah.
but at some point you just have to let it go and wait and
See how it grows.
and see how it goes. Yeah,
Like a plant. Yeah.
absolutely. It's like a plant. You put a bit of water and you let it grow, and you know,
Be patient.
be patient.
Well, it sounds like you're not always patient, because it sounds like you jumped into this. You like to do things. You like to go, right? So
yeah, I do. Sometime too fast, and sometime I pay for that, you know, and I'm tempering and I'm trying to do an extra batch, but I know it's I don't have time to do it, and I try, and know my bars are wide, then I just learn every time. Every time it's the same story. I'm like, I knew it's not gonna work, but I still tried it. So yeah, it's it's a fun process. There is many challenges. I think to get my product out there was a big challenge as well. You know, to educate people while they pay a bar at this price for a bean to bar
So
price.
you sell not just to, because you started, I think, in the markets, but then you also sell to some retailers as well.
Yeah.
Do you have to educate the retailers too to understand why your product is different?
Yes, but most of the retailer I have, they like good products. I try to approach retailer that I really like as well. So there is a bit of talking and education, but they get it very quickly. As at the market, it's a real talk. At the market now, people know me. I'm doing local markets, so I still doing those talk for like tourists and people visiting. But the first year, every market, I had no more voice at the end of the day, because I was explaining to everybody, every single person, the whole process. And it's funny how, people are interested about one bar, and then you talk about the process and you show them, and you know, I show some cocoa beans and some husk and some nibs, and I explain the whole process, and people usually get it, and they're like, wow, you do all this and you're packing by hand. And I'm like, yeah, all the wrapping is made by hand. And then they are like, okay, we'll take 3 bars.
Nice.
And so the education, like, people, you just need time. If you put time, if I just had my bar sitting there and waiting for someone to come and buy 3 bars, it will not work. You just have to explain. And once people understand, then they try your product. And then if they like your product, they come back. And then they talk to their friend. And then their friends come, and it repeats. So yeah, it was really hard at the beginning. Now it's a bit more flowy, I will say.
It's also hard for a lot of people, makers, whoever in the craft chocolate world, when they're starting, they don't know how to say it, right? There's so much to say. And sometimes you only have, 30 seconds to say it, 20 seconds. So that's what's hard too, is developing your spiel that gets to the points right away, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's you have your, as you say, your spiel, and the biggest thing is, like, you have one person, and then other people will start to show up and listen, but the middle of it, and you start again, and but people are very curious as well. They ask questions, and it's really cool, this contact. Like me, farmers market has been my best experience in this whole business, because you really see your different profile, your different type of customer, and you have the 50-year-old, the 80-year-old who likes chocolate, the kid who has is like money pocket, a bit of money in his pocket, and he comes and he's like just looking at those bars, and you tell him the story, and he's like, he's buying you a bar, and you're like, but you're a kid. And this is what is cool. It's
Wow,
like,
that's cool.
if you can show to kids what it is to make a good product, and right away now it's those people, they're gonna grow and they're gonna have some good value right away.
That's a good point too, because a lot of people, adults who grew up with chocolate, this was before the craft chocolate world, so we weren't used to that. Now you're selling to kids who in 5-10 years are going to be the adults.
Absolutely.
And they have this, they already have that in their head now. They understand the difference. That's really cool to see that.
Absolutely. And you know, me at the market, I have this thing that if a kid shows up and he has like $5 and that's it, that's enough for a bar of chocolate. I'll sell it to him because I know he'll be happy.
That's an
and
interesting...
I know he's gonna discover some new flavors. So
wow.
I never say no to kids.
That's an interesting approach. Wow, that's very nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned that on your website that your style is, you say, European style. So obviously you're from Switzerland, but how does that style, how is that reflected in your chocolate? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so when I started to make chocolate, I really started two ingredients. I was very interested about that. And then the flavors coming out of it were amazing. But personally, for me, I was kind of missing a bit this creaminess, more European style creaminess chocolate. And then I started to put a little bit of cocoa butter. And you know, at the end, I was like, oh, what do I want to focus on texture and a texture that I really like, and flavor. Maybe I'll lose a little bit of flavors, especially on the single origins. And I was like, you know, there is so many really good single origin, 2 ingredients up there, chocolate maker. And I was like, well, my thing is to have a chocolate a bit more creamier. So I really started to play with cocoa butter. And it's funny as well, like when I started to play with this cocoa butter, I got cocoa butter from a lot of different places, and I started to realize how the cocoa butter affects the flavors of the chocolate. There is some really bad cocoa butter who like can destroy your chocolate. Can destroy all the flavors coming out of the bean.
There's even some makers I've had that you could tell, you can taste that cocoa butter in it, and it just ruins the whole bar. Yeah,
I totally agree. So this is something I learned as well. I started to add a bit more cocoa butter, playing with those recipe, and I have to say, I kind of, on my single origins, on some of them, I will not say I lost the flavors, but they're a little bit more mild. They are less like boom in your face. And but the texture, maybe it's a bit more creamier, and some people, it's maybe just an easier way to start to be in those craft chocolate world than to start to discover all this. So yeah, my style is just, you know, it's a little bit more creamier by adding a bit of cocoa butter, and by running my stone mélanger a bit longer as well. I usually go 4 days, not less than that.
Yeah, that's a long time. There's a lot of people that make their chocolate, you know, 1 day, 2 days, and they're complaining about the flavor. And, you know, the refining time, yes, obviously has an effect on the texture, but the flavor too. So, you know, a lot of times I feel like people don't refine their chocolate enough, not only for the texture, but even for the flavor as well. And then you mentioned the European style, the cocoa butter, the smoothness. And then you mentioned how the cocoa butter mutes the flavors a little bit. But that is also a bit European, I noticed. If you try bean to bar chocolate from makers in Europe, it's different than Australia, Canada, North America, where the flavors are more subtle in Europe. It seems like people don't like it, boom, in your face, like in North America. So it seems like your flavor style and your texture style is definitely much more European.
As much as I love to have two ingredient single origin chocolate bar, I love my milk chocolate as well.
Of
It's
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's
Yeah, you can
how
have
you can play with your
yeah.
ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that people can make incredible milk chocolate with no vanilla, is like making an incredible cappuccino or latte, right? Just
Absolutely.
the flavor of the bean still comes through. Where did the name Shoki come from? How did you come up with that?
Well, Schoki is just, it means like it's a cute word to say chocolate in Swiss German, or a small piece of chocolate. And this is just my it's a bit a story like that, but it's just my grandmother. She was always asking me, "Willst du Schoki? Do you want a small piece of chocolate?" And basically, when I started to brainstorm a little bit my packaging and everything, I just had Schoki on my board with another spelling, Schoggi.
Okay.
And at some point, I was looking for a name, and I was not going to put my name on it. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't remember if it was my wife or she say, I think, yeah, just keep this name, and we just kept it.
Yeah. No, it has a
And
nice ring to it.
yeah, there's the shocky, a bit of chocolate, and some people say Schoki, and some people say Choki, and it's fine. It's kind of fun. Like, some people have a really hard time. They try, and some people it's very natural.
So now talking a little bit more about your process, your chocolate making, how do you choose cocoa beans? What's your criteria? There's so many, like you said, when you first started, you just got cheap beans, whatever, and then you realize there's better beans out there, but there's a lot of beans now available to a lot of makers. So how do you decide what you want to
yeah,
work with?
yes, there is a lot of beans. Same when like when we started, quickly I ordered bean from a lot of different origins, close to 30, I think. And I make chocolate with those 30. Now I'm not gonna talk too much about roasting time. I kind of set up the one roasting profile per bean, just to see. And from there we tried all this chocolate, and we kind of narrow the flavors, what was interesting. And yeah, after trying a little bit of chocolate with friends, and I think you tried some early stage as well, I went with three different, well, two origins at first, and then I added a third one, for two reasons. First, it was the co-op or the farms, the work that they were doing there, the way they were producing cacao, the way they were respecting the farmers by paying a living wage, respecting the human rights and no child labor. This was very important. And then the flavors coming out of it. So my two first one were the Dominican Zorzal and Cocoa Camili, and Cocoa Camili from Tanzania. And I'm not surprised that there is a lot of people using those origins, because they're very special. And I choose those two because they were very different for flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my two checkbox. I wanted to have cocoa beans that are coming from a place that I know that it's a good place, and that have interesting flavors, especially starting into this business, that I could introduce to people, and people will be like, oh, wow, this one really tastes like this, and this one is very different. It tastes like this.
Very distinct. Very distinct.
Yeah. So I started with those two, and then eventually I added another one, Opayo from Ingeman, and this one, it was really I wanted a third origin, but as well, I really like this one to make my milk chocolate. It wasn't too fruity. Darker you go, less fruitier it gets. But I just find it's a good balance for the milk chocolates. That's why I choose it first.
Yeah.
And then we try to make some darker chocolate with it. But so that's the three single origins.
No, it does work really well. A lot of people in my tastings, they love that one when they try it because it has, they say caramel, you know, vanilla, custard, things like that. So those are flavors people love in chocolate. And so it seems to really work together in that bar.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, now I still have people like sending me some beans, or I order some beans, or I try other chocolate maker chocolate bars, and I'm like, oh, those origins are so good, and I'd like to add some more, and it will happen, but not right away. I need to do a good job with those three first, and keep doing a good job. And then I will add another one, and I have one in mind already. Yeah, it will come.
So we talked a little bit about ethical cacao and chocolate. So basically, you were saying that the cacao that you source, you make sure that you know where it's coming from and how the farmers are compensated and the life that they sort of have over there. But then you also mentioned that your business is focused on environmental aspects. So how do your products reflect environmental aspects?
Yeah, and that's first is the same. We go back to the cacao beans and the farmers who cultivate this fine cacao, and they focus on fine cacao instead of more productive trees, and that means they avoid to remove trees, deforest, and add more cocoa tree, and trying to grow production. I think this is one part is us chocolate maker, all of us. We try to focus on good quality, and we are ready to pay premium. And if farmers get a little bit of money, they can avoid to go in this like dark direction to try to be more productive. Instead, they can just focus on flavor. So doing that, you protect a little bit this planet, and there is on our side. We do it in different way. Sure, our cacao has to travel a lot, and we know that it's not green to bring cacao here. But when it's here, we try to do our best by using local ingredients. We use local milk from Avalon. We use BC raspberry. We use local hazelnuts. We use local oats. We are the one thing I'm very happy is we decided to not go overseas for packaging. We do everything here locally. So nice. Yes, you pay more, but this has an impact, right? And all our packaging are made in Vancouver. It's 60 kilometers from here, and I'm very happy with that. We could have like cheaper packaging, but I'm not going this way. We also give back to the community with we have a couple of different organizations that we really like who protect our winter here, or who are planting trees, and part of our sale are going there as well. And it's very small amounts, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And by doing that, I hope we can grow and bring more.
You're building, You're building the
Yeah.
framework of your company around these ideas. So as you grow, they'll grow as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big thing those days in our world is to try to do our best for our future, for our kids' future, and for the good of everybody. So yeah, we try to do our best. We can still improve, and we will improve. We have some ideas, and yeah.
Do you remember more specifically your first customers in Squamish and how they responded? Did everyone really like it? Did some people say, "Oh, this is not what I wanted in chocolate"? What were the responses?
Yeah, like I remember a lot of positive feedback. I think people didn't really know or still don't know that chocolate can have different flavors.
Right.
And like the only negative feedback I have usually, it's about pricing. If I could line up, if anybody of us could line up with the supermarket price, we'll be golden because we'll be the only one selling chocolate bars. But there is a reason we cannot do that, right? So I would say 99% of the time, people are just very excited about flavors coming out of this chocolate. And one of my first customer at the market is still buying me like every month 3 bars, and at the market. And when I'm off market, at the beginning she was coming at our place and picking up her 3 bars, and now I started to do local delivery because yeah, you don't want too many people to show up at your place and knock the door. So
nice.
Yeah, I think it's just great that once people try it, I'm sure some people are maybe don't like the product, but I never had any negative
Well, not
feedback.
everybody's into craft chocolate, right? They
Oh,
like
absolutely.
the typical cocoa flavor. That's what they want. That's fine. But some people didn't even know, like you said, that chocolate can taste different. It's not just that typical cocoa flavor. And it's nice to see a lot of customers there appreciating that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, everybody is really happy to try, and when I'm doing my small chocolate tasting at the market or different places, I think once again, the farmers markets are great because you give those small pieces of chocolate to everybody, and some people just don't buy it, and that's fine, but you can see that they really enjoyed it. And maybe those people will come back later, or maybe it will just trigger something in their head that maybe they'll go somewhere and see some craft chocolate bar and they'll be like, hey, I tried at some point some craft chocolate, I'll try this one, and then they'll get into it. And
it's always nice for you as the manufacturer, the people who are making the products, to watch people enjoy it. It's very satisfying for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool, I have to say. Yeah. or to make weird face because it's just too strong for some people.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's funny too.
Speaking about strong, so you have your 85% Nicaraguan bar, which is amazing. It's an 85%, but there's zero bitterness in there, which the intensity is just very mild. It's very mild. For such a high percentage, why is it not bitter? So what can you explain about that bar or about fine chocolate in general to consumers? A lot of people say, I don't like dark chocolate because it's bitter, and then they can try your Schoki 85% bar and well, this isn't bitter. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, there is the people who know about 85%, and there is the people who tried 85% or just like, oh, I tried this bar from this supermarket 85%, and oh, it's so bitter, and you're like, hey, try this one, and then they're like, oh, wow. and I think in craft chocolate, you can really, if you're patient, you can really play with this bitterness, acidity, flavors coming out of this chocolate. I never tried 100%, but I think if you're patient, that like me, there's two things who makes this chocolate like the way it is first, yes, I do add a bit of cocoa butter. So just to help a little bit this like bitterness to come down. But once again, it goes down to the grinder. If you try the same chocolate after 2 days in the refiner, it's not there. Like it's not what I'm looking for. And this one stays close to 5 days in the stone grinder. So
Yeah,
I think
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, there's just a lot of air going through, and it just lowered this like acidity or bitterness. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that the flavor of chocolate has a lot to do with the method, right? The refining time is huge. You know, you're not adding anything, you're physically not taking anything away, but that refining time changes the overall aroma concentrations, and it just can make a totally different chocolate. Totally different.
It is huge, and I totally understand why some people just grind those beans for 2 days. Maybe it's to find a different flavor profile, a different texture. And me, I decided to go longer, and as I say, maybe those flavors profile change a little bit.
Well, time is money too, right? So some people don't want to wait.
Time is money.
4 or 5 days.
I was gonna get there. I decided to kind of not cut those like corner. And I tried, I tried to grind it just for 3 days. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work the way I want it.
Right.
So some other people would love it. Me, I'm happy like that. The 85%, by the way, it's 85%. It's a tough one. It's I love it. Off to sell. Yeah. And maybe you're a bit more specialized and people come to you and they're a bit more, ready for it. On my side is really hard. And I made the same chocolate, but as at 80%. And I find there is almost a little bit more flavors coming out of it, and it's as nice. If it's not nicer, and I don't know, I might lower the percentage a little bit, but okay. I don't know. You might not be happy about that.
We'll see.
I don't know. I sometimes like you try something else and you think it's better, and then you try it again a week later and you're like, no, this one is great. And but that's the beauty of it. You can adjust it anytime and see if it's nicer, because at the end of the day, that's the goal, is to make the best chocolate as possible, right?
And the thing too, like you said, if your customers are not receiving it as well, they're the market. If you lower the percentage a little bit and it appeals to them even more, it's wonderful. I'm sure it's still going to be a wonderful product either way. So you have to take that into consideration too.
But at the same time, you give a 85%, they will say I want a 90, and you give 80%, they'll be like I want a 82. So we'll see. My point is just all of my chocolate, it's not none of them are done products. I always try to make it better. I always try to add a bit of this or to change a little bit of this and to see if it makes a difference. And this is why I was saying before to add a new origin, I really want to nail all of them. And I think they're already excellent. But there is a couple one that we have an oatmeal chocolate, and for me it was, I came up with this and it was a tiny bit watery. I was like, I was eating, and a lot of people love it. And I was like, yeah, but I have a little bit of this water flavor coming out of it that I don't
Mm.
want. And I changed the recipe, and on the next packaging run, I redid it. And you know what? Same percentage, but a little bit different oat, different, a little bit less cocoa butter, and this just made the difference. And
Mm.
now you don't have this like watery side of it.
Yeah.
And
So it really is comes down to a lot of tinkering when you're,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same with anything. Like if you want to be a master baker and make amazing bread, these people invest years making it every day, right?
Hmm.
Tinkering. So when you think about it, chocolate making, a lot of people think is very simple. You put the beans in the grinder, you grind it X hours and whatever, and that's it. But like you were saying, there's so much tinkering that can be done, and the smallest little tinkering can make a world of a difference. So, it's going to be a
Yeah.
lifetime of tinkering to perfect
Oh,
everything.
don't say that.
No, that's good though. We need more people who are willing to say it's not good enough, to constantly improve. But then you have to pause sometimes and say, appreciate what you have at the same time.
Absolutely. And I
Appreciate your
do.
success. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about the cost, and sometimes that's a barrier for people. So what do you try to explain to them to overcome that? And does it ever work?
Yeah, yes. So as I say before, first when you explain them the process, it does work. I would say like 50% of the time people are like decide to go for the product. And as well, like when you have samples,
Mm,
they try it,
yeah.
um people understand, that it's you make craft chocolate, it's a long process. Uh, but I realized the past few months that it's a little bit harder money. It's a little bit difficult right now with a lot of people, so it's a bit harder to put a bit more money. They don't mind to pay a little bit more for better products.
Mm,
Some of them tell me, hey, like I still buy some orange chocolates because it's cheaper and I really like chocolate and I cannot live only with, I would like to buy just your chocolate, but I cannot afford it.
at
And
least
and
they're
I'm
honest.
I'm
That's
I'm
nice.
totally, yeah, and I'm totally fine with that. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a chocolate snob. I love craft chocolates, and I love to try new origins. But when I'm going for dinner to my friend, and because I'm in the business and always forget to bring my own chocolate to my friends, and then they take a bar of like another chocolate that whatever, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
I still try it, and I find it quite interesting because you try it, and then then it's a good
It
reminder. You're like,
reminds
oh
you,
damn it,
yeah. How
yeah,
good
my
it is.
chocolate is way nicer. So it's cool, and so other people do the same in
Yeah.
in everyday's life. And I find this cool too. They sometimes they have a bit of a better chocolate. Some people they just live on craft chocolate, what is awesome, good for them. And yeah, it's a mix of
Yeah, I think that's a
everything.
very important point, what you said, what that person was saying, because, it's like a lot of us, we can go and dish out, let's say you have an anniversary or something and you want to pay a lot of money for a really good meal at a really good restaurant, it's going to be good. But everyone's different. Most people can't afford that every week or every day or everything.
Absolutely.
Some people can, and good for them, but some people can't. So the point is that you're getting customers to change their perception of chocolate and appreciate it and come back for yours, regardless of whether it's every week or every month. They're still coming back, and that says a lot, right? So,
Absolutely.
we don't have to
And
be a lot of people in chocolate world, they also feel like, well, if I have fine chocolate, I have to have fine everything. And it's like, well, that's not sustainable. Most of us don't make enough
yes,
money to have fine everything. So you value if you value fine chocolate, you value that, then you're willing to pay for it. And that's a good point. But you don't have to feel guilty for not buying it sometimes.
absolutely. Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point is sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, and that's fine. Sometimes it's just a little pleasure, and Yeah, it's great. It's
I think
at least
people are embarrassed because they think it's, if they have a Snickers bar or something, is somehow they're not a refined person anymore. Or they don't appreciate real chocolate. That's not true, right? That's not true.
no, no, it's not. It's not. And we all do those like small like side move and have this, but don't say it. But yeah, I think more people we have trying it, more people more they're gonna be interested, and on the long term, maybe at some point they'll be able to buy only craft chocolate and just eat craft chocolate. Maybe they won't, but yeah, the goal is to have as many people as possible to try it, and if they like it, to stay on it a little bit
Do you ever
at
tell
least.
your customers about portion size? Because that's the thing too, is a lot of people think one chocolate bar you're supposed to finish in a day, right?
Yeah.
But if you break it down, if you have this bar, 5, 6 times a little piece, then maybe it's not so costly, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think most of the time the bar just explained them that try to eat like a full bar of cocoa accumulate Tanzania. I don't know, but I think you eat a couple square or yeah, a little bit of it, and then you're happy, your palate is happy with it. But if you eat too much of it, it can be almost the opposite. Maybe
That's true.
your mouth will be like, "Ooh, that's too much." So yeah, I tell them that exactly, and people know, right? It's every product that you buy and it's a little bit more expensive. Usually you take more time to eat it, you appreciate it more, and maybe smaller quantity.
Mhm. Are there any new challenges these days for Shoki? So we talked about challenges earlier on. What challenges do you see today in your company?
Well, there's two challenges. First, the prices of all the raw material, packaging, everything. That's a big challenge for me.
Mm.
I am trying, and I'm saying trying, and I hope I won't have to raise my prices. And this is something personal, even if all the costs are going up. I figured out that if I stay under a certain price, my product sell a little bit better.
Mm.
I have a better flow, and more people are trying it, and more people are coming back. And I find if I go over this number, that I tried it, I experimented in a couple of events. You see the sell going down drastically.
Mm.
So that's my number one big challenge is to keep my product in the same price range. But yeah, I have some pressure from out there. But that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is packing by hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that's the only option because the machines are way too expensive. So
It is. It's too expensive, and
yeah.
and we have a style that we like, and
Mm.
the way we pack, and there is a few reasons for that as well. And that's the only option, as you say. And you know what? Fine, I'll pack at night, and I'll pack in the morning, and I'll pack during the day, and my mom will help me packing, and my wife as well, and and we'll make it work.
You'll be
But
packing in your dreams too.
yeah, no, please. I used to early
Oh, really?
stage, but yeah, it is a challenge because it's very time consuming, and sometimes you're like, oh, I could make more, I could have a bigger machine, and that's come back to our earlier discussion. Yes, but how are you gonna manage all this? And what I don't want is to start to cut corners again and to
Mm.
say, oh, you know what? Instead of doing this for packing, we're gonna do this, and something that I don't really want. So yeah, for now we just do it the way we are, and we produce a little bit less, and it's good. It's fine.
Okay.
And machines will be maybe one day, but we'll see.
Maybe you'll create one. Maybe you'll create a wrapping machine.
I think I thought about it many times, and right now I don't have much time.
Yeah.
But I think I will take the challenge to build something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That would be $1 million idea for sure. If you can make a small, cost-effective wrapping machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to share any future plans? Do you have any future plans for Schoki? Ideas?
Yeah. So future plan, we are adding 2 bars or not single origins, but we are adding 2 bars. It's a dark mint, very subtle. It's a mint that is not taking over, and also an espresso bar.
Okay.
So that's the 2 bars. The 4th origin will come later on.
Okay.
And then for September, we'll have our hot chocolate mix as well.
Oh, nice.
That I've been selling at the market, but just at the market. And you'll see it'll be, we're coming with a few different ones. So it'll be interesting. We'll see if people like it or not. It's that's the plan for the next few months.
Wonderful. Do you want to show everybody your workshop there? Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So
your efficient workspace.
Yeah. So as I said before, I'm a one-man show, and doing my production here. And I just stopped my grinder because they're very loud. So the one thing that people always are like, man, you're crazy, is this one, my small beam roar.
Wow.
So I still roast 1 kilo at the time.
Wow.
And this year I'm close to 800 kilo in this. So I'm roasting all day long. It never stops. And it's still alive. It's crazy.
Is that the same roaster you've always had?
Yeah.
Wow.
I started with this one, and I still have it. And it requires a lot of cleaning. You have to open it, put your tools in there. But I will have something different. But for now, that's the more efficient that I found, and it doesn't take much space. You'll see it.
True.
My space is a 20-foot wall. So I try to be as efficient as I can. Yeah. So it goes from here. Then I winnow it. My winnower, I could show it to you. Well, it's kind of packed where my beans are on the other side. But it's another winnower. It's not made in plywood anymore. It's food-safe pipes now. But kind of the same process as, same idea as many of them. Then I have 2 10-kilo grinder, and I decided to go with 2 10-kilo because it was just giving me some flexibility at the beginning. I will probably add a 3rd one, but I'd rather to stay with smaller one that I can go from a type to another type, and very easy to clean. That's the other thing. I can remove the drum and go clean it with water and soap and sanitizer and everything. So very easy to use. But basically, the chocolate is turning in there, and I did put a bit of green tape because those things are losing. But yeah, so that's something which maybe can help some people. That's a hot water tank, and I use it to melt my cocoa butter.
Okay.
Nice. Because there's a small dispenser here. I put a bucket. Sometimes I have to warm up this part.
That's a good idea.
But it's the best. Since I started to do that, you put 20 kilo in there, 2 hours later, it's melted. Yeah. Easy.
Wow.
Then I was telling about packing. I'm just packing some bars here. Then I have my heating cabinet here where I heat my molds. Then I have my tempering machine. That's a new one. I'm very happy. This was a big thing. I had a 4 kilo before, so it was it was working well, but
Right.
it was hard to keep up. Now I can do everything with this one. And then I use this vibration table and this one for inclusion. So it doesn't mix in the bowl.
Yeah.
And then it goes in the fridge here, cool down. And same, the fridge, I had to do a lot of tweaking, cutting wires in the back. And there is a fan. I changed the fan as well, so it blows air.
Was it too cold or too strong?
No, they had a defrost system in there, so it was starting to warm up after a little bit.
Oh.
So it was producing moisture and heat. So I went with some tools in there and changed a couple things. And yeah, there is a small fan as well, and I did put an upgraded. I put a bigger motor and new blades. Instead of pulling the air, now it pushed the air. Well, just yeah, that's what is cool. It's like most of the time you change stuff because you have a problem.
Right.
And
problem solution.
Yeah, problem solution. It's really
well, it sounds like you like problems because you like the solution. You like figuring out the solution.
Yeah, well, I think if you're a chocolate lover, you probably know that chocolate maker, they run into a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And chocolate maker, they know.
Yeah, troubleshooting.
Everything breaks, and it's like but at the same time, it's fun. I personally like it. I get very frustrated, but yeah, you for sure you need your tools here on site, and you're always trying to fix something.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing efficient space, for the bars that you make and you sell. It just goes to show that there's different ways of making chocolate. You don't need a huge, big room depending on what you're doing and your size.
Yeah, absolutely. And we thought about renting a bigger place, but it comes back to the same thing: is one day maybe, if we decide to grow, maybe we'll rent another space. But my vision has been, let's wait until the last moment, right? So as I showed before, my grinders, they are smaller one. It's not a 40 kilo, they are 10 kilo, and that's by choice. And I will upgrade them the day I need to. But if I don't need to, I won't. My roaster, I will have to upgrade it. I know it. But I will push it until until it doesn't work. Not the roaster doesn't work until I can't anymore. And this is what I did with the tempering machine. And this was a big one. I was like, oh, I'm at the point that my 4 kilo, it takes me a full day, a 12-hour day to go over my 2 grinder. And now it was time to upgrade. But yeah, I try to not upgrade if I don't need to. It's important to keep the business healthy, growing by itself, and not to be too
right. Don't fix what's not broken yet, right? It's not broken yet. It's still working for you. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
good. Awesome.
We'll see.
And what is the best way for people to contact you to buy your chocolate? Where do you sell?
Yeah, well, first, to contact me, you can find my email on my website. If you want to contact me, if you have question, if you have something to say, or if you want to come say hi. To buy chocolate, you sell some of our chocolate. So Bean to Bar World, through my website as well. I do shut down my shipping during the summer. That's the way I decided to not go with insulated boxes and everything. So I just shut down the shipping during the summer month. Farmers market locally. We have quite a few retail store as well. You can have a look on the website. We have them listed on the website. They are all small core shop, cool shop, coffee shop. So maybe, yeah, if you find a Schoki in your area, maybe you'll discover a new coffee shop as well, or a cool gift shop, or yeah. That's
so it's mostly in Squamish, maybe Lower Mainland a little bit.
No, now we start to be we started to spread out. So we are in Prince George. We are
nice.
Yeah, we are in Abbotsford. We are so Lower Mainland. We are on the island, Vancouver Island.
Nice.
So mostly BC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was really, really nice to talk to you. Thank you again for taking the time. I know you're super busy, but you seem to have a lot of energy, so you make it work.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll find the energy and I'll find the time, and yes, I think it's a business who keeps you busy for sure. All side of it, but it's very interesting, and I always say, like, if someone wants to start a small chocolate production, a lot of people are gonna say you're crazy, don't do it. And I say the opposite. I always say the opposite. Too many people told me that in my life so far, and I feel every time people tell me that, I'm doing the opposite.
And it's working.
Do it. It's cool. It's cool. It's interesting. Yes, it's time consuming, but it's very interesting. And you know what? You can grow it to a business, or you can just do it for pleasure. Doesn't matter. It's just fun to do.
That's a good point. Even if it's not a business for you, I think the more people we get involved in craft chocolate, sourcing good cacao, even just making it at home, I think that helps everyone, because it educates more and more people about craft chocolate.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to try some amazing chocolate and nice flavors, and to play, it's a big game, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Yoann.
Well, thanks, Joseph.
Nice to meet with you. All the best with your company.
Yeah, okay. We'll see you soon, and hopefully you come here at some point.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Download the free Bean2Bar app to connect with incredible chocolate makers from around the world. Also, be sure to visit bean2barworld.com, your portal for all things fine chocolate, virtual tastings, free learning resources, research, and much more. Subscribe to the newsletter to stay in touch, and donate to the free app and free resources here. Contact me for any chocolate-related questions you may have.